Hello, everyone listening to Lilia's Sunday podcast. I don't know where you are and what you're doing, but what makes me feel great is the fact that you're playing the podcast and hopefully you're enjoying it. You may actually be doing lots of other things while listening to the podcast, like cooking, cleaning up, making a bed, turning down or trashing the bed, getting ready to go to sleep, or maybe you've just opened your eyes and instead of a news morning show, you decided to let some English into your life. And that's why you're playing Lilia's Sunday podcast. So whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a good time listening to this because I'm very excited about making this podcast. And I'd like to think that you're as much into listening to it as I'm into recording it. So today, I'd love to bring up a really good but just, controversial question that I got asked by a teacher trainee a couple of days ago. So he's like a young guy. He's just graduated from a university specialising in Ukrainian to English translation. And he's currently in the middle of his teaching course for a local language school. He's actually an old acquaintance of mine, and we were sitting in the cafe having some mulled wine when we started talking. Oh, you just need to see the eyes of my boyfriend at this moment. So we were just in the cafe, having some mulled wine when we started talking about this shift from a translator's career to a career in teaching. And he asked me, do you think I have good chances to become a brilliant teacher? Overall, I said anyone has a chance of becoming an excellent teacher, provided they're ready to master their English on a daily basis and they have a natural aptitude to get on well with people. But the question was specifically about the translator becoming a teacher, not training to be a teacher, but requalifying yourself and starting your teaching career straight after you've made yourself a name in translating. And for you, as a learner of English, I think that might provide some room for thinking. So if I were to choose a teacher of English, is it okay in their teaching profile if they say majored in translation? Or is it better to look for a teacher who's decided on their choice for a teaching career straight from the very beginning? And if I'm honest, I believe that most non-native teachers of English as a foreign language are translators in their head. And if they get a degree in teaching English with a university, it's also very difficult to get rid of translating things in their heads all the time. So here, it also raises the question whether it's better to have a local or a native speaker teacher. But here is what I personally think. 9 locals out of 10 here in Ukraine translate in their head. This is mostly how you get by in a foreign language. If you speak the same language with your student, you can definitely pretend to not hear your mutual first language with your student, but the student will always know you do, and they will try to use it to their own benefit. Just, occasionally asking you about things that they don't know, asking you to translate something, and if you know the translation, you're technically tempted to give them the correct answer. No matter how hard you try to be a native speaker and put them in a natural language environment. Okay, but basically that's a different story. So being a qualified translator doesn't really bring much to the table. It's just that qualified translators mostly get about speaking a foreign language by translating stuff. Rarely do they learn to think in English, and I'm afraid few of them can teach you to do that, but this is one of the methods widely spread here, and I believe in lots of other countries, studying English through the first language interference. So, choosing a teacher obviously depends on your goals. So, why are you studying English? If you want to be a translator or interpreter teacher is probably your best choice. On the other hand, I know some fantastic interpreters who speak English of a very high standard. But again, the fact that someone has graduated from a university majoring in philology and teaching doesn't mean that they don't subconsciously translate. And the first language interference 100% influences the language they speak. Okay, Lilia, what can I do to get rid of my mother tongue interference? So, here is the top thing that you should do, and this is develop a natural instinct for the language. Think in English. Stop yourself from direct translation. Practice and take risks. Listen as much as possible, including Lilia's Sunday podcast, of course. Work on your natural feeling of the language. Direct translation almost never works when speaking a foreign language. Your natural instinct is what works best. So that was Lilia from Lilia's Sunday podcast. You can find me on VK, Facebook and Podomatic. Take care. Miss me. Bye bye.